everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. No, this isn't a Meet the Collector. That would be an awesome thing to do, but we just had Joe Fest, and it seemed like the darling of the show was Savage Crucible. So I reached out to Rob, and I was like, hey, Rob, do you want to come on and talk all things Joe Fest and what we saw at the table and maybe some other stuff? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So thank you, Rob. Thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it.
I thank you. We'll take any opportunity we can to talk about Harvinger Studios and Savage Crucible. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I didn't introduce you properly. I didn't say this is Rob Post of Savage Crucible and Harbinger Studios, but yes, I hope people know that that's who you are. But yeah, I it to me it just seemed like social media coverage, and with my different friend groups that I have like a local group of collectors that I'm always like, we have lunch once a month. We help each other out around town. We have a local Facebook group and we post stuff we find. So between them and then my other friends that are all over the place, seems like everybody was coming out of Joe Fest talking about Savage Crucible, which is funny because you don't make military figures.
I appreciate everyone saying that. I first, Ed puts on an amazing show. The show itself has so many amazing vendors. Fans come out for it, and then like the after hours stuff that's at the hotel is really fun. So like everyone, sticks around, has conversations, drinks beer, goes and does the lobby swaps. Like there's always something going, and so just a great show in general. So I think that kind of leads to the success. I would say that you had so many different brands there. You had Big Bag Workshop, you had Skeletron, you had Marauder Gunrunners, you had the Chosen Prime doing their Acid Rain figures, you had Creative Beast Studio, you had Spiro, you had Boss Fight Studio, and I'm sure there's like four others at least, if not six others, that I'm just like blank. Oh, Chicken Fried Toys with their Western line was there. Delta 17, I think, with their 4-inch figures. Man, just a crazy amount of indie companies. And then you have like the toy department shows up and Toy Federation shows up, and then Destro's Toy Den. Like there's just a lot of great vendors in themselves that show up. So just really cool stuff where you're like dios or figures or whatever. It's just a great show.
Yeah, right. I remember. I don't know if they were there. Was Super Seven there this
Super
year?
7 was there, yes.
Yeah. Super Seven. Yeah, they came last year. I remember, and yeah, I saw some of my friends who picked up some of their stuff, but I didn't know if they were, what their presence was. All right. Well, you guys had a lot at the table that I had not seen. That was, I mean, it seems like you guys, instead of like, well, let's just put like one or two out here and there at different shows, you're like, well, with Joe Fest, I'm sure you've held some stuff back for your own shows later in the year, but yeah, it seemed like you guys had a lot of new product, and that's what kind of like blew me away. And I was like, I gotta have Rob on. We gotta talk about some of these figures that were on the table.
So from my perspective, it doesn't seem like a lot because everything that was on the table I've like seen for a year now, year plus, it feels like, in one form or another. I think, I talk about this a lot on our own show, just about how we're trying to improve the schedule. We're trying to do things to speed up that time between people seeing a figure and then actually getting it in hand. That's really important to me. And so this is what was on the table is actually sort of the culmination, or at least getting close to where we want to be. So a lot of the figures that people saw that were new are actually like mold injected factory paint jobs. They're not test shots. They're not what's the word I'm looking for? They're not check models. They're not 3D printed. A couple parts were like the Dane was and things like that, but the figures themselves. So you'll be seeing some of those this year. Not going to spoil anything just yet, but we will be seeing some of those figures this year, and nice. we're really excited about it. And there's some things that we didn't show. You're right. You're dead on. We want it to be fun.
Yeah.
And so I think the Dravarthi figure that we rolled out for Joe Fest, that was the first time we ever did that way. Kind of the whole motto was, we want fans to be the one that discovered that figure. Like we wanted, like, it's like we wouldn't even take them out and put them on the table. Like we're just so worried that someone would walk by and try to take a picture or something. So like literally the people in line did not they had to open it to see what it was before they paid for it. Like that was like
Yeah,
that was
I
the first thing.
think I think Carlos's friend from Badass Reviews was the first one who, like, Carlos sent me that pic. He
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was
my buddy just sent. He's like, he's there, and he got his hands on one, and he's like, he just sent it to me, and he sent it to me, and then within like 20 seconds, I think I got like 3 or 4 more pretty much the same, like somebody with their thumb over the figure, like holding it in their, in their hand. I have mine here. A buddy was able to pick me up one, so I have one. I reviewed it. I love this. We'll get into that for sure. I want to talk a lot about Joe Fest, but before we get into Joe Fest,
Mhm.
what I'd like to do is, because there's some things that, I would love for, like, maybe you to talk about, as far as, like, because, like, really what kind of like inspired me with this was I saw you recently on the 3POA podcast, and you were talking with Bobby about industry stuff, like what it takes to you know to make action figures. And I was like, oh man, there's, like, I wonder if he'll answer this, and I wonder if he'll answer this. And so I just had a few questions that I just wanted to ask myself, and then maybe some stuff that I thought maybe some fans would want to know. And then, it's not a lot, but we'll kind of make our way to Joe Fest, because that kind of leads us into, like, what you have going on for the rest of the year, and kind of set that up. So let's start off with a question that I'm sure everybody is wanting to know, and that is your distribution model, because this is something that, like, you and I have talked about privately. Like, I've asked you before, because I've heard it said, I've heard you say that, we don't go back to the factory. We don't make other figures, but sometimes it feels like I think with the Lemurians, it seems like you guys were sold out, but then other figures came back in stock, and I sometimes that can be a little confusing. Could you shed some light on, like, how you guys do sort of like your in stock sales, and then save stuff back for shows, and then how stuff appears to, like, come back in stock, but
Sure.
that's not really what,
And it's a
happened.
multi-layered answer too. So that, like, because not every situation is exactly the same. It's happening behind the scenes. So for instance, this happened with like wave one in the beginning. It just happened with Elric. Like we knew that people were really hungry to get their pre-orders, and so we rush shipped a certain amount of figures so they would get here quicker. And then we started fulfilling those kind of things. And then we're waiting for the rest of them to get here. So
So that's when you say rush ship, you mean like that's airmail versus coming over on a boat?
there's several different ways. There's like FedEx, UPS, whatever you want to call it. And that's like overnight. That's ridiculously expensive. Then there's like what they call a speedboat, which it takes like let's call it 3 weeks, between 3 and 4 weeks to get here on a speedboat. And it's basically, my understanding of it is it's something that Amazon uses to, like, and so you can get space on there. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's not expensive as like using FedEx or UPS to get here in a week. So that's it can be, depending on the time of year and the gas prices, it can be prohibitive, but it can also, because it is volume based in terms of the pricing. So that can get here like 3 to 4 weeks, and then standard shipping is about 8 weeks.
Okay.
Provided that you get through customs, like that can really mess around with you. So that's sort of the difference in time frames, but also, and thinking about it from a production standpoint, like if you have a figure and you're going through everything, and then you find a QC problem, and they say, oh look, we have 700 figures that have a cape problem. Okay, well, fix those 700. You can go ahead and ship whatever you have, and I'll take those 700 on my next shipment over.
Okay.
Like, so that's a decision that we make. So not everything just shows up here all at once. Like that doesn't always have. Sometimes it does, and we're trying to get closer and closer to that. But when you're trying to have drops for shows, you
Sure.
will expedite something, and the factory will expedite it as well to try to help you meet that goal. And then it might linger longer because the factory doesn't have as much stress, but also they might have stress from other multiple clients. And then furthermore, like this, you find something that needs to be corrected, and then that takes a little bit longer on that end. So that's like the high level, just in terms of like understanding that not every situation is the same. Now, getting into our philosophy on how we roll things out, we want to mix between pre-orders and drop figures. And we typically put our own pre-order up, and then once we put it up for, like, usually 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the size of the wave. And then we open it up to retailers depending on where we think it's going to be in the schedule. If we think it's going to get in the schedule relatively soon, we let retailers put theirs up really soon because they're not going to have a lot of time to place their orders so that we can get an idea of the quantities. And so that's important. And pre-orders dictate how much we make, just bottom line.
Sure.
Sometimes I might have a gut feeling that maybe this wasn't presented the best way and I think it's going to do way better. And I might make a gut call on how much to produce. But for the most part, we use analytics to tell us how much that we need to produce 4 figures. And like any estimate, they're always wrong, whether it's plus or minus. Like that's just
right.
I think I saw one influencer is like, production should equal demand. I was like, well, if you can share that mathematical formula with the rest of the world, we fucking love it. Like,
yes, absolutely. If you have cracked that nut, please let us know.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a consideration of it. So then you get into like what a drop figure is. Well, drop figures are typically our own IP. We have a decent understanding of where we think the demand curve is, how much to produce, and then it falls into, can we get all of it here in one time, or are we just fast shipping? And that's just to make with enough inventory to meet the show. And so we haven't always been successful with that. Most of the figures have been, we had an advanced shipment sent, and that's why it took so long. It might be like 8 to 12 weeks before anyone else got access to the figure. It's like the same thing with the Komodos, but it's funny because no one really reads anything that you put out. Doesn't matter how much you just blast it across everywhere. You can go right now to the Facebook group and goes like, oh, I thought the Komodos were sold out. And we're like, ad nauseum. We told everyone like, these are just some ones we had left over. Like we thought it'd be nice, because we knew people were coming in there. All right, so that's a layer. The next layer is we have 3 ways that we allocate stock. Like you have what we would call pre-order and in-stock stock. You have what you allocate towards retailers. So part of that's based on how much they actually ordered. And then part of that's like a little left over because they like might allow some type of restock like that. Then the third section is we have a stock of inventory for shows.
Mm-hmm.
The best part that I've ever enjoyed in collecting is when I would go to a show to see somebody, and then they would have like a couple old figures that are really hard to get, and you can't buy retail anymore, and they're on the table, and you grab them, and you feel like you found something that's fun. And we've been doing that since the beginning. Okay, since the beginning, there hasn't been a show since the Royal Guard still out that we didn't have 2 or 3 Royal Guards on the table. They would last hours because people wouldn't pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so but that's also like that from a team perspective, we would get enjoyment out of it because people that we felt like were just buying our figures to flip them, they were never paying attention to that.
Nice.
So like, you might want to pay attention to what's on the table is all I'm saying. If you're looking for something, be first towards part of the line, you might have a chance. So that's something. So you go like, okay, we took inventory to shows, we sold out on the website. We have depleted our inventory on wholesalers. How does stock magically come back on the shop? Well, first of all, we like our last in-stock sale, like most of those were between 20 and 50 units of stock, which is just a box per SKU. So that's stuff that like we moved warehouses. People misstack boxes, put it in the wrong pile. You just find stuff. You're like, oh, okay, cool. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm not doing as many shows. I can put a little bit more extra on the website, try to make some people happy that can't get to shows, that kind of thing. And so that's sort of the process. So we've been going through this whole codex thing, like explaining our terms that we use just for a pre-sale and a pre-order and what sold out versus means entombed.
Right.
And like, there's a whole nother section that we haven't gotten to. What do I do with damaged boxes? Like we've never sold damaged boxes, right? This is the first time I've ever considered it on Elric. Was like, well, we have a lot of damaged boxes. Should I sell those? And then you get into people wanting like deep discounts for damaged cardboard, and I'm like, you can pay, like if you want it that bad, you can pay full price for it. But then it gets into like, you know what? I don't need to put it up. I don't need to create any controversy.
Right, because you're never going to make anybody happy. If you put them up and they're damaged, and people are like, but what about the people who want mint in box? It's like, did you want to pay regular price for this figure, or do you want to go to eBay and pay $300? Like, Dude, I kind of like the idea of, like I like that Bobby on the Faliverse website has the Wounded Warrior stuff.
Yep.
Like I understand that he changed packaging at one point because packaging was coming off the cards, like the blister was coming off the card back, but those figures are otherwise perfect. And I open all my stuff anyway. Like I don't leave stuff in boxes, and so like I don't care that the blister sliding off the card back. Like, dude, I would love it if you guys did that. Call it something like cursed or something. Like these have been cursed Elrics,
Yeah,
like
Chris Elrics. I mean, I got a bin. I have a massive bin. I should go grab it. Like of just Elrics. Like,
Lucy's.
yeah, just loose. And you're just like, and
Yeah.
we're like, what do we do this? I was like, I don't know. In a year or two, we'll put them in Ziploc bags and take them to the show, and people can buy them to want them or something. Like,
Yes.
yeah. So
I know a fairly handsome collector that wouldn't mind a couple of those. Yes, I definitely need to get my hands on some more Elrits. I did not know he was going to be so hard to find, and I got one from you guys. And then I've chosen at shows not to buy any more because, like, I kind of feel like, well, dude, I want more people to experience this figure, so I have purposely left him on tables when I've seen him at shows, outside of having the one that I have, but. Knowing that he comes with like that helmet and you can make like army build, like dude, I mean, I've got plenty of weapons, just give me the figure and the helmet. I'm good. Yeah. Like I'm all for it. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And we will have some Elrics at Titans and Unity, and they're going to be on the reservation system. That was a mistake. We make mistakes all the time. But the difference is we try to learn from them. And so we didn't have Elric on reservation for Joe Fest. We just put them out on the table. We did limit them to one per person, but
yeah.
What we had is people came back all 3 days, try and so like Renato, you gotta give him a lot of credit on that third day. He started telling people no. It's like you cannot have, like, you've been here the last 2 days, you cannot have an Elric. We're not selling you an Elric, period. Like he
is really good. I got to tell you, he's frustratingly good.
Yes.
Because I remember at Toylanta, I came and I think I had accidentally reserved one of each of the reserve figures when I meant to reserve 2 of one of them. And I got up there and I was like, yeah, but I screwed up. He goes, I'm sorry. And I'm like, is Rob here? He's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm just telling you, like, I don't get involved. I'm like, nope.
Hey, if he says no.
Yeah, like that's.
But I didn't want to be that guy. I did not want to go.
I know you don't. Yeah. Some people will. I mean, people will try to come up like after they've gotten their figure and use the ticket again to see if and they're like, oh, that's weird. And they just walk off. You're like, dude, come on. Like, you know what you were doing. Like, stop.
We scanned
yeah, it's just kind of, but so Titans and Unity, if you don't have an Elric, going to one of those shows, those will be up on those on the website to be reserved as well. So you still have some more shots at them.
Yeah. And then, so do you guys have like an internal, just kind of like a follow-up, do you guys have like an internal philosophy about like, how do you, like, what is your answer when people are like, I don't understand why they just don't go and make 1,000 more Elrics or 5,000 more Elrics? They're leaving money on the table. So how do you answer those people? Because I hear that all the time and I'm like, I don't think it's that easy.
Well, like, hey, I just don't answer. Like that's,
yeah.
We've always said we'll listen to criticism, but we never guarantee that we'd give you a reply. Right. We do definitely try to answer what we consider valid criticisms and or critiques. Sure. I would say that they, especially when there's like a FOMO moment, like people were having with Elric, all these people that had never purchased from us before, they would say things like, well, I didn't know about you. And I'm like, well, I didn't know about you. That's a two-way street.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
So you're not supposed to be clairvoyant, but I am. Oh, okay. Like,
right.
Yeah. Elric was the largest production run we've ever done on a figure. So it was not like we underproduced Elric. Right. There was a convergence of things that came together, that contributed to Elric being sold out and sold it out so fast. He did get really hyped, which caught me by surprise. I love the figure. I'm the one, my team, we made that figure, and I'm still like, I I feel like it was kind of overhyped. Not by us per se, but just like people getting it. I think it was just a lot of fun with an armored figure having that much articulation. I think for some people, the aspect of it being a literary character and finally getting that character was a big deal for certain people, not everybody, but some people. Um, so I think that contributed to it. I will say that, we went through and we looked at all the comments on Facebook and Instagram, and it was about 30 people that were just complaining over and over and over and over and over and over for like a week. But we had a list of names. Like we just literally like, okay, it's like, how long is this list? Because that can influence a something like how bad did we overshoot or undershoot demand. All right, so you got 30 people. Then you say, all right, there's people that didn't get it, that are unhappy, or that would have bought it. How do you account for those? Because they're not saying anything.
Right.
Okay, so then you say, all right, let's just do a multiplier of 10. There's 300 people that didn't get an Elric that would have got an Elric in the in-stock sale. Okay, that seems reasonable. Let's triple it. That's 900. Let's say there's 30 people. For every one person that was having a meltdown, there's 30 people besides them keeping their mouth shut. And that's 900. All right. Well, the MOQ at the factory is 3,000 units.
So that's the minimum quantity that you have to order for them to go back into production. Right.
Correct. So you have to pay that. Then I have to go back to the licensee, the licensor, sorry, get permission, right? I have to put in another soft goods order. All right. And I'm at 3,000 units. Now, my math says I can sell 900 more. So I'm taking a risk on 2,100 more units. And I'm diminishing my brand. And I'm upsetting the thousands upon thousands of people that already got a figure. So am I willing to do all of that, take that risk, and then have to sit on stock for 18 months? It's not easy money. Like most toy companies don't make money. I think it's hysterical when people say that, but I know they're being hyperbolic and speaking in those terms. They're not like being legitimate. At least I hope they don't think that. But it's really difficult. And so no one, we go back to that. We would love for supply to always equal demand. That's what we're going for. But we have figures like, people don't talk like 40% of all my inventory is in 3 figures right now.
Wow. Okay.
All right. That's like less than 10% of the entire SKUs that we have produced. All right. So it's like, okay, so you're doing deep dives. Like, why did this figure sell so well so quickly and this figure just doesn't sell? Like what is it? Like, is it? And there's, from my perspective, I'm stuttering a lot, but because I'm trying to think at the same time, but essentially there are a multitude of different factors that influence how fast a figure will sell through, and it has momentum. And if you don't catch that momentum, that creates a problem.
Sure.
From that perspective. And so that's why reissues are so detrimental to the companies. Every time you've ever seen a reissue, what have you seen? You've seen that thing on this freaking peg for years.
Yep. And we've heard this like very recently from other toy companies that have said the very same thing, that, people have, they've addressed, when people say, why don't you just go back and produce more? And they said the exact same thing you did, is that they never sell as well as they did the first time. And you're speaking to that. It's because, the first time you caught the wave of momentum. Second time, you're allotting for other people to play catch up, and that's not the same. And I totally get that. Well, I think you offered up like a dearth of information for people to like go back and listen to and dissect, to understand like why like some figures do better than others, and then like why they come back in stock. So at the end of the day, when you guys have finished your show tours for the year and you're done touring and you're done with shows and you're done with like your major in-stock sales, Is that like when you may go, oh, we ended up at the end of the year with a couple of boxes of XYZ, whatever, and then we may throw those back up in another sale. But it's that you guys are never going back and producing more. It's just that that's what's kind of left over from your in stock sales, your shows, all that kind of stuff.
Correct. We're not producing
Yeah.
anymore. I mean, like I think there's like 300 Bryn Yar sitting in China right now. And people are like, why are there 300 units of Bryn Yar sitting there? It's like, well, I have an allocation that we ship directly from our factory to certain international wholesalers and retailers. And I make an allocation based on previous. Well, two vendors decided not to order. So there's 300 units in there. All the other Bryn Yars got shipped here. So they'll be on the next boat. And then I'll have 300 Bryn Yars. Then I have to make a decision. Do I want to put them back on the website, or I just carry them to shows for the next couple of years? Like, you know, not years, but next year or whatever. So that's a great example of like little things like that happen, and that you just get some stock and you're like, all right, cool. Like we can, you know, put that up or whatever as a, because the same thing's going to happen next year. There's going to be all new fans. They're going to want all the figures that everyone's getting right now, who in a year can't get very easily. And it's continuous. That's always going to be the case.
So. Right. And that certainly does not speak to the quality of Bryn Yar, because Bryn Yar is one of the greatest figures you guys have ever made.
I love Bryn Yar. I love Naraka. I mean, I think we're
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just like, that's sort of the thing that I hear after every show is, oh my God, Harbingers. A lot of people just refer to you guys as Savage Crucible, but you know, it's just like a lot of people are just, I mean, they're killing it this year. They're killing it. Did you see this drop? Do you see this drop? Yeah. I mean, I personally am happy to know that I'll be able to get my hands on another Bryn Yar. I have two. I got to have a couple more. They're just that good. We got articulated jaws, people. Come on. Like it's there. All right, let's move on, because I have like a creative question that I wanted to get to. Do you guys, when you start planning, and I'm not talking about like your one-offs, but more of like, say, the your waves of figures, do you guys like sit down and like sort of figure out the narrative that's going to go along with that wave and kind of build figures around that? Or do you guys sort of go, man, this would be really cool if we had like a Lynx character with an articulated jaw, and then sort of then like build the narrative around cool figures? Or is it a little mix of both?
No one time has ever been the same.
Really? Okay.
We are a house of chaos when it comes to design and creativity. We love, I think this is all creators, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're a toy creator, whatever you're creating, everyone wants to make cool stuff. Like that's what we want, right? And that's what we focus on. And so we have all these ideas brimming, like for multiple people, because our team's fairly large, and it can be frustrating for some of the team members, even myself, because we'll be doing things like, oh, I have this figure, it's already painted, it's already tooled, it's ready to go. We need some lore for it. Like, okay, you know. And then other times it's like, hey, I think I would love to be inspired by this movie and this movie, like combining, like, you know, like a character from that sort of that mashup of things, and but we're gonna make it our own or whatever. And then we take that backstory and then we design the character around that backstory. So it goes both ways. Like, and then sometimes it's like about need, where we think like we have a need here, like furry legs. We don't have furry legs. All we have are Jaeger furry arms and like 3 furry heads. So we don't have a torso. We didn't have legs. Like that's a need, right? Like you need that to sort of like flesh out the line. So like you have needs like chainmail arms. When we did Elric, we went ahead and tooled chainmail arms. We have full chainmail arms all the way down to the wrist. We have sleeve chainmail arms where you can take the sleeve and you can plug in Lemurian or human or snake men into those chainmail sleeves. Like, but that's all in one tooling. Like we planned ahead. That's been done since like last summer, but we just haven't used those parts yet in the public domain. So that's just sort of like planning ahead, and that's a need. Like, you know that you need that. It's just like, you know, you need leather pants, you need plated pants, you need studded pants. Like there's certain like I guess tropes, right, that you need in terms of, and so
Yeah.
like so then it's a combination of like, okay, I need this body part. What would be a super cool character that gets like a certain other kind of like narrative itch, or scratch going, and so or scratch that itch. Those are how things happen. So it is very fluid. It is not one way. There's not one person writing the bios. There's not one person designing the characters. There's not one person designing the paint scheme. Like multiple team members will have multiple inputs on different figures, and sometimes they don't. The only input they have is like just feedback on it, and other times they're like fully invested in what's happening. And so that's why I think we're just different in terms of how many people have a creative voice with Savage.
Right. Yeah, that makes me think of like the Shield of Dazera. Now, I don't know too much of the like the backstory of all of that, how that came together, but from what I think Nikki told me is that she had just painted up one as a custom or something, and you saw it and was like, "Oh, that's really cool." But then so then you guys go into production on it, but you're like, "Hey, let's push it further with the armor and let's do some soft goods." And then it becomes like this whole story, and like all of that just grew from her just having like painted up, like one of these that you happen to see and was like, oh, that's pretty dope. Like,
I mean, so sometimes like it's like we have paint masters sitting in China ready to go that like Nikki and Alex have already done that may not come into production for a year or two. Because they're sort of like they have a lot of existing parts. They have some new parts or whatever, but it's like, okay, what I try to do is be opportunistic in terms of like the factory's time. And so people always I guess they think of everything being very linear with the factory, rightfully so. I can understand why someone would think that. That's actually not really how a factory works. Like when you think of a factory, they have different sections. It's very compartmentalized. You have mold injection, you have tooling, you have packaging, you have painting, and even in painting is segregated between like hand painting, spray painting, pad printing, then you got UV face printing. And so you could like your sprayers and UV printed could be like maxed out. They have no capacity for like the next 16 weeks. But their mold injection guys can be sitting back there just twiddling their thumbs, not having something to do. So you're like, well, shit, crank it up, get that Shield of Desert going. Like that's a perfect opportunity to crank a figure out.
that's really cool. No, you're right. I don't think I have ever thought about it that way. I kind of have always kind of thought about it in like that cartoon, like Looney Tunes, maybe Laverne and Shirley kind of mechanism kind of way where, nothing goes in on this end and then a figure comes out on the other and it's all one big machine. But no, you're right. Having it compartmentalized, different parts can be being made at different times. And so I guess in that situation, so you may have a figure that is just sitting there, just waiting, like it's been molded and it's just waiting to go into the like paint
Yep.
area, like when it's okay. All right. Well, kind of along those. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say like, and then you haven't got into soft goods. Like we got a whole figure done, and it's sitting there for months waiting on a cape to show up.
Right. Yeah. Now, are not to get too into the weeds, but are because soft goods are becoming more in demand with like 1/12 scale action figures and that sort of thing. Are more factories like integrating that, or is it still very much like an outsider?
It's outsourced. It is like our soft goods are outsourced to two different factories,
Okay.
depending on components. Like my factory will do, like they'll put a chain on like Warrior Ball and Chase's mace, right? Like they'll do that all day long, and I'm probably doing that. But if you wanted something like chainmail and it's got to be sewn in and stuff, that's totally at a different place. It's like, the factory doesn't make boxes. There's a box printing place, a printer that does that offsite. The tools, the actual tooling, the base tooling is made offsite. It can be made at multiple different places. But when it gets to my factory and they start making adjustments, they have like a Sifu on staff part-time who will make adjustments if he can. And so it doesn't have to leave the factory. But sometimes, and this is why like people want to know when something's going to show up, and I'm like, I don't know, I can't tell you. Well, the reason why is like, oh, there's a mistake in this mold. Well, it's got to go back to the molding factory, and you move these things with cranes. Like you can't pick these things up, so that's got to go back on a truck and be driven out to this other factory. It might be an hour, 2 hours away. And then it gets in their queue, and their queue could be 3 months behind. And so you're just waiting for this edit on this one tooling out of like freaking 28 to start because because you need it. And it could be sitting over there for months, and there's nothing the factory can do about it. It's not like what do you want them to do? Go there and like threaten them at gunpoint? Like that's not how you do
Right.
business, right? Like
Right.
because that tooling factory is getting business from multiple factories, and those multiple factories have multiple people putting pressure on them. And so personally, I find that being the most flexible gets you the best results, and planning
Sure.
ahead. And that's what we really try to do, is plan ahead. So that's why we have tooling that we put in new parts. That's why, I know some people get upset that we haven't put out wave 3, but like we planned this. Like we knew that we wanted parts in there because we knew that from a scheduling standpoint, we needed something in between to that you don't lose that momentum. And it takes a great deal of planning on our part and the factory's part.
Yes. I think that might be one of the pitfalls that I've seen some other companies that I love, and I'm not disparaging, but they're, when something happens like that and it's 2 years between waves, and it's almost like you sort of like, we're very like out of sight, out of mind toy collectors. We're very much like we're chasing the next thing. And like, if you don't think about something for 2 years, like, are you going to think about it again in 2 years? And I know that's something that I fall victim to. It's interesting, like what you're talking about, like if there's a problem with the mold and you have to go back, then that could be potential. And if that's not like a singular, like one-off release, then it seems like that's holding up an entire wave of figures. From, because the other figures in that wave may be already boxed and ready to go,
Well,
but then you've got
that happened with wave 3, like the thighs on the Pirannoids, which are also the thighs on the Snake Men, has been in limbo for like 6 months. And so it's just one of those things. It's like, holy, you're like,
right.
But what are you gonna do? You're gonna get on a plane, go to some factory out in the middle of China and start yelling in English? They don't know what the hell you're saying, so it doesn't really matter.
Like, where'd this guy come from?
It might think I'm just crazy drunk at that point.
Right. So that was going to get into this is the perfect segue into my next question, which is, you have said that it is, I've heard you say this, and it makes a lot of sense, that it's easier to get a single figure through production than it is a whole wave. So do you guys still see a value in doing like waves of figures, or do you think singular drops every couple of months is like a better way to go?
I think that there is value in 2 to 4 SKUs in a wave.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything more than 4 is massive overkill and just slogs the entire system down. 2 is pretty ideal from that perspective. My personal thought is, and my goal, I think I've said this publicly, that my goal for 27 is to have a figure every month. Don't know if I'll get there, but that's the goal. Because I think that's, as a collector, I think that's the ideal, like hitting the note, staying in the narrative. I don't think, I talk a lot about this in terms of like, I've always wanted the opening of our boxes to be fun, to be memorable, to be enjoyable, because I've done this, and I don't mean, you've probably talked about this, like I got burnt out on Classified because I would so many at once, and it felt more like a chore opening them, and it wasn't fun. And then I was just like, you know what, I'm good. I'm just let those sit over in the corner, and like months would go by and you just wouldn't open them. So I think we've done a lot of things well to create an atmosphere of fun in opening our figures. And I think if we're doing that on a monthly basis, that gives collectors what they want. They can appreciate one thing for a little bit of time, give it its need, play with it, pose it, have a great time, put it on their shelf, admire it, and then there's something next. But it gives them the room that they need to enjoy the figure. They don't feel overwhelmed. I mean, big waves they're very overwhelming. They really are.
They really are. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, that I love Mythic Legions, that I'm a huge fan, but it does get very, You know, like when we all sort of brace for it, you know, when they announce, oh, a new wave is, we're going to announce a new wave this Friday. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I mean, that's exciting. But at the same time, I start stressing out because I'm like, is it going to be six figures? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 14? Like, good God, I can't afford, that's $800, $900. I start freaking out. So like, I almost like, as much as, you know, personally in my personal life, I complain a lot about like subscriptions, and everybody has a subscription, and like, we're going to be subscribing to everything. It's like, can I subscribe to somebody's figures? Like, can I just get a figure a month? I pay a subscription, like that figure comes out, it ships to my house. If I don't want it, I sell it or I trade it or whatever, you know, like I almost want that. So I like the idea of having like one a month. That for budgetary reasons, that's kind of exciting. It's like I can budget for like a $45 or $55 figure a month, but I can't budget for a, you know, 6, 8, 9, 10 figure wave every month, or even every 2 or 3 months. It's just,
yeah, no, it's a lot.
overwhelming.
It is. And then like, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just telling you, like, that's what I like. That's what people on my team like. And so
Right.
that's what the conversations we have, like, we've asked people, like, how do you feel? And trust me, there's enjoyment. There can be enjoyment in getting a bunch of figures at once, especially when you start a new collection. It's kind of fun. Like, cause you're like, oh,
Mhm.
another one marked off the box, you know, da, da, da. But like, it's not fun for me. And I think that every creator always sees things through their own lens. And so, you know, the feedback from the team has been the same, very consistent. And so that's the path that we're taking, whether it's right or wrong. And it's not us like saying someone else is doing it wrong. We're just saying, like, we think this is the fun way to do it for us.
Yeah, this works for us. Do you think like the topic of bigger waves or more figures in a wave becomes easier as you guys grow, and you, like you were talking about earlier, and you fill out those needs and you fill out those parts libraries, where you're like, we've got a fully leathered figure, we've got a fully fur figure, we've got a fully plated figure, a fully chainmail figure, we've got all the parts. Does having a larger parts library filled out and those boxes checked make it easier, you think, like maybe for larger waves? Because then you're gonna like, oh, the tools are done, we're talking like we just go through painting or whatever.
I just don't want to do, like, when you say larger, I mean, you mean the 2 to 4 range?
I was thinking like, yeah, like that 3 to 6, like five figure, like, you know, when you think of like waves of action figures coming out, I guess like I still think of waves like when we were a kid, you know, and,
Yeah,
you know,
I
but
don't know that we'll ever do anything more than 4 SKUs ever again.
yeah, okay,
We it, I I just don't think that. There's a lot of reasons why. One is because every figure that we put out has some new parts on it. Um,
mm,
so if you have 4 figures and they all have new parts, that's a lot of tooling. Now, maybe if the
right,
tooling's already done, I would consider it. Um, Having an expanded library definitely helps in that standpoint. It reduces the burden. But there's still so many character types that we haven't even remotely gotten close to, that I don't see us slowing down on that aspect of it. I just don't like it. It slows, the
yeah,
factory gets slowed down, we get slowed down. Then you start having to worry about gaps in the schedule. Um,
yeah.
why create that kind of stress on yourself when you can make yourself happy and your fans happy?
Right. To me, a good analog is how like when we grew up, TV shows were like 24 episodes, you know, like even all the way up through, like I would say Lost was probably the last major TV show that people were following where they had to hit that 22 to like 24 episode you know, marker each year. And that had to come, that was because I think there was like, there used to be old rules in place about like you can't get syndicated unless you have like 100 episodes or something like that. So they were trying to meet that
Right.
expectation. But I kind of like, you know, how like we sort of like adapted like that British TV show mentality of let's do like 10 to 12 episodes for a show. And like now like all the streaming services seems to be like all episodes are like eight, all series are like 8 to 12 ish, you know. It's
It's a
like,
season. It makes perfect
yeah,
sense when you think about it. Like 12 weeks is a season. Like that makes sense to me.
yeah, that really
Yeah.
does. Yeah. So using it in that frame of mind does make a lot of sense. What is something that you've learned about action figure manufacturing that you were maybe going into it, you thought that might be easier than it turned out. What has turned out to be kind of like the hardest thing that you did not expect to be as difficult as you thought it might have been in the beginning?
Um, I think the hardest thing is not the hardest, but a hard consideration is how things properly function. From a engineering standpoint, I think that is by far the weakest component of every indie toy company that I know. They do not have a very good fundamental understanding of the engineering involved in creating action figures. There are lots of them are incredibly talented toy designers. They're incredibly talented sculptors, but you never hear anyone talk about that person's an incredible engineer. And that truly is the disconnect between here and in China. And that happens all the way up to Hasbro. And that's the kind of feedback when you talk to sculptors and artists that work at even the big firms. They send something over, and then what comes out is not what they sent. And the reason why it's not is because the model shop over there completely changed the articulation, the cuts, all of this. And part of that's because they know what works, and they're taking a very safe route in what works, and they don't really care about the aesthetic. And so that's where you can kind of think of it like the person doing the work is probably not in that shop is probably not a huge toy fan. That's just a job to them.
Sure.
I think that's the other part that gets really disconnected because everybody on this side is so passionate. We're so into toys. Like you can't imagine someone their entire career is based off of like engineering the figure. Like they don't care anything about it. Like they went to school for something else and this is the job they got and like they just do it. That's probably the biggest thing that's a hurdle. I am very fortunate that I work with a factory that tries new things and will push the limits. And we're like, hey, let's try this. Like we never tried this before. Let's try it. Like that at a bigger factory, that does not happen. They are not going to waste their time trying to learn something new for your little 3,000 unit or 10,000 unit run. They don't care anything about that. They've got thousands of people to employ and feed. It's churn and burn, baby. Like that's how that works. So I think that for me is the component that is the biggest disconnect right now. I will say that on a personal level, like I've gotten really good at understanding tooling layouts and how they function and what parts I can put like where. And so like, I know, hey, if we do this, and this part, we can put this all on one tooling plate and that's a whole new figure. Beautiful. Works great. And then I can allocate that cost down over one figure. And I feel really good about putting in that new tooling on that one figure. That was a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning. Because I just thought like, oh, you can put a piece here, here, here. And it doesn't work that way because you have what they call tooling function or mold function. And the more hollow spaces that you have in an area creates more tooling function. And that function has to have certain bars and things and parts that move, which takes up more space. And if that takes up space there, then the space next to it has less space to put a part in. And so those are like, well, sort of like the give and takes of understanding. And
then I think teaching that seems like that's like trial by fire. That just seems like that's something you just learn by doing, right? Like,
yeah, I'll say this. I spend a great deal of time investing and learning. I have no idea if other companies take the time or care. When talking to other creators, other indie toy companies, you'll hear the comment made a lot about, I just want to create. They don't want to deal with anything else. They just want to create. And I get the mentality, but like it severely limits your ability to do things better. So I don't know, but like I said, I understand the mentality. It's just not my mentality. I want to understand things. I love learning about things. I am the kid that took apart all of my freaking toys. I took the Rhino completely apart to understand how all that worked, and I put it back together. And like that was nice. Yeah, that's the kid I was. So that's the hardest part. I would say the next is just like you start to get a feel for how long things should take, like from like when they start in production, they start painting, like you understand that tooling is sort of a nebulous concept because a tooling factory, you could, and this is not to get too weird, but a tooling factory can be working on your action figure and 3 dildos at the same day.
Right. Yes.
They're both mold injected. All right. So the tooling factory is creating mold injected molds. All right. So their demand that they're getting is not from the toy industry, it's
Sure.
from anything that is mold injected. All right.
Right.
And so you can't predict when there's going to be this massive wait. At least I haven't yet gotten a clue on like when's their like quote busy season. Because like our personal factory that's doing stuff, I can tell you the 3 months before Joe Fest, it takes everything they have because there's like 5 companies asking for something special for Joe Fest, and they're coming right back from Chinese New Year, and so like that's all they're stressed about. But the tooling factory is a whole nother other schedule. Like you could, my factory, you can predict based on like conventions, shutdowns, like seasons, like those kinds of seasons. But the tooling factory is on a totally different scale, having multiple different influences from different industries that you don't understand.
Okay.
And I only say that because the first time I ever toured a tooling factory, there was this one room we walked in. It was really weird. They had this like one table. There was one mold on it. There was nothing else around. And like I'm taking video and I walk up to it and I look over and it's like this massive dildo. And like the tooling guys just busted out laughing. Like, you know, like it was a planned joke or something. Cause like you're like, you want to look at it like, what is that? You know, what are they working on? Yeah. So yeah. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I've never thought about that overlap, but there it is. Yep. Okay, so we kind of touched this a little bit earlier when you were talking about like the packaging and you want the experience of opening things. I know that you love secrets and discovery. And this is something like from hiding stuff in your backgrounds of your videos to like what's out on the table, or, you know, I know that you love that. Have you guys, is there a figure out there that has been released already that has got like some little secret feature that somebody has yet to discover that you guys internally are just like, I wonder if somebody's going to figure that out? I'll give you an example. The other day, somebody pointed out, and I did not know this in my review, that some of these little studs on the belt you can remove and they've got extra little holes. Because in the video, I was like, well, you can put 2 little things right there, but I don't see any more. I didn't even think about some of those studs are removable. So is there anything out there that's still lingering that you're like, I mean, you don't have to tell us what it is, but you can go, yeah, I think there's something out there people still have yet to discover.
I feel, well, I'll say this. There are features that the majority of people have not figured out. There's some like UV reactive eyes out there on certain figures that people just haven't really clued into. Things like that. So that's definitely out there.
I think it was a while before I realized that you could plug the tails into the ports. Like I might have been wave 2 before somebody figured it out, and I saw that. I was like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
You guys. I love that though. I love the secrecy and the discovery in them.
I do too. I mean, clearly I do, because I just think it's fun to discover things. I don't think it hurts any collector, any figure, like having those sort of like little things, like the belt thing with the Drevarthi. Like, yeah, we designed it that way on purpose, so that way you can change the look of that belt entirely. But you can take one of those waist pieces from another figure and put it on the front of that waist piece, and it gives it an entirely different look.
Right.
So
right, absolutely. Okay, let's turn our attention to Joe Fest. And so I've got some pictures pulled up here from Carlos's buddy who was there from Badass Reviews. So I don't think Carlos and I are friends. I don't think he'll mind me sharing some of his photos. And feel free. I'm just gonna go through here, and if you want to talk about that character, you can talk about it. And if you don't, if you're just gonna say, "Well, I ain't got nothing to say about that," then we'll move on. I first wanted to pull up this because we were still kind of like talking about production. Gosh, I cannot wait for this. Where are we in the Death Dealer? Like, for people I know that may not follow your socials, because I know you guys have put out recently some stuff about where this is, but
Yeah, I think this is about 9 weeks from being at our warehouse. Um, that's a pretty good schedule. I know that we have about 80% of what's coming to the United States has already been put on pallets. So I think in the next 4 to 5 days it'll be wrapped up, and then we'll just schedule the boat trip. There were like 2 different issues that we found right towards the end that had to be fixed, and things had to be sent back out of the factory to get fixed. And then when they came back, one thing I just absolutely love with my factory is like they send stuff out, say fix this, and then it comes back. They still check. They don't just assume that it got fixed. And then while the majority of it might have got fixed, what didn't get fixed, guess what? They sent it right the hell back out. Like,
nice.
Yes, they're like, no, this shit doesn't fly. Like that's how they are. So God bless them. Then so there were like 2 issues in that similar vein that happened, and the required parts going back to, and we literally had to disassemble figures and take parts off of them, the soft goods, to fix certain things and then go back to it. So like that's why there was like we were way behind where I thought we were going to be with this figure. Like I thought we would already have this figure here, honestly, based on where we were in the production, because I was like, oh, the soft goods are arriving, like, and then like you had some issues,
barring something like this happening. Yeah.
And so like, but everyone, I appreciate everyone that says like they much rather have quality than speed, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's okay to be miffed or whatever if like you waited a long time for something that you really want. That's a legitimate feeling. But from my perspective, we want to put out the best figure possible, and that's what we're going to do, and we're not going to compromise on that. So
yeah, I can't remember who said it, and I can't remember if it was about a movie or a video game, and it might have been a video game, but I heard it said once, like a late game is only late until it arrives, but a bad game is bad forever, And so it's kind of like that. Well, talking about production schedule, just and you've kind of hit on like wave 3. So just kind of looking at this, so I'm excited for Death Dealer and his Warhorse, but I know like the Warhorse in particular is a partnership, right, between you guys and, is it Fish Toys?
Fish Toys, yes, it is.
And so a lot of the production, is that handled by them for the?
Yes, actually the main body, like from the neck down of the horse, that's been at our warehouse for 6 months. Like, okay, they produced that last Christmas. But there's new parts that had to go through tooling. And so we should have a factory sample here soon of that. There's another like underlying thing that's created stress in the timetable, and that's our factory literally moved locations. And so they've been in the new location for literally days now. But to their credit, they were working out at both and like kept doing stuff. It's pretty amazing. That crew, what they did. But the factory is the new factory is really nice. It's much bigger. They brought in a bunch more machines to increase production. Not just on mold injection, but also on painting and things like that. So we're thrilled about that, the growth there for them. But yes, that wave 3 is in production right now. Death Dealer will ship here imminently. We'll have some final samples for wave 3 that we'll start showing pictures. I have pictures that I'm going to show of like parts of like just bins bins of parts and all that kind of stuff. Sure. Wave 3 and 4 are actually back to back because of their shared usage. So like there's not going to be a long delay between wave 3 and wave 4. Like all of Kubla is completely tooled. Like every new part on Kubla is tooled. Every part on wave 4 is actually tooled now that the thighs are completed. So like that just to kind of like clue you in. There will be an update to the schedule that goes out in the next week or so, I think.
Okay.
And
good. Okay.
Yeah, it's
yeah, this I didn't know if this was the most up to date. It was the most up to date that I could find, and so
yeah. We have the one on that website is the one that we like. That's the most up to date to the public. So We were actually discussing this today because the guys were like, "Are there supposed to be like 4 question marks here?" I was like, yes, there are." And so like we intentionally think about like we're like we're moving wave 3 over to Q3, so it's like, okay, where in Q3 do we put it? Because we do think about like these aren't arbitrary things that we're putting up there. Like these are time frames. So like I'm like, yeah, wave 3 will probably ship from the factory um sometime between Wonderfest and Toy Unity. Reasonable.
Okay.
All right. It might ship before. It might ship in between Winterfest and Titans. I don't know. Like that's a reasonable assertion. Um, there's a possibility that the Warhorse could be done before Wave 3.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because if you think about it, like the horses are already done except for the extra head and the tack. That's not a lot of work.
Right. Okay.
That can be complete. Like once we get the tooling like dialed in, like that can be completed in 4 weeks, and that's just done.
On a boat, ready to go.
Yeah, and so I like the factory will hold stuff if you ask them to, but I'm like, I don't see the point. I'm like, no, like let's just keep going, keep it moving. Like it helps them. People didn't realize like our factory was so small, like they would hold on to stuff for people. And it's like, well, why can't you ship this? And like, yeah, we can't ship that because it's 20 pallets back that you have to crawl over, which you can't. So we would have to move all 20 pallets to get to that one pallet to ship it to you. And so like that's like a nightmare.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. So we have an updated calendar coming soon. So
very much so.
Yes. All right. Nice. All right. Getting back to Joe Fest. All right. I think this figure really took a lot of people by surprise. I think a lot of people were like, oh my God, fully knight. Like we're getting head to toe armored, harkening right back to Elric, just being armored up. This guy is looking great. And when you and I talked recently, you were telling me something that this is like not like a paint master or anything. Like this is like a production figure, right?
Yes. The only thing on the night that is not production is the waist piece. The tooling for that wasn't done in time.
Okay.
And it is now. I do have samples of that now, but everything on this figure is mold injected. That is factory paint apps. Yes. These pictures don't do it justice. I promise you in person, it's even more beautiful.
Yeah, this is looking great.
And you can see those same arms that I was talking about earlier. Like
right, yep, there they are. Yeah,
those are now like 18 months ago.
Oh my gosh. So is this? I mean, I don't mean to press you about pricing, but is this still like considered like a standard release figure? Or is this more of a deluxe release?
And
if you can't answer that yet, that's fine. We could skip it. You don't have to. I think
that there'll be a lot of information released on this in a relatively soon manner.
Okay.
I think that it's going to make a lot of people happy. And I think we're really looking forward to the way that we're going to roll this out. I think it's going to appease a lot of people.
Perfect. I love that.
Not everything is being shown. I can tell you that too.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. This guy is just really catching my eye. Like this is my bread and butter, man. You put a crazy looking, anthropomorphic animal in some kind of armor and just set him loose. Like this is just hitting a lot of like buttons for me. What can you tell us about what I have labeled as Goat Man? Because I don't know what this guy's called. And he's got 3 different heads here. Like, what's the story with this?
I'm pretty sure we're going to call them Gower. Like Gowers, which is like it's phonetic Old English or Old Irish, I think. It's called Gower, which is a goat man or a goat. So we're gonna call them the Gowers. This is a very old figure. Like you can go back to the original concept art, and that's where this figure comes from. The body for this has been around since the arms. So we hadn't released a figure with it. I want to say that Kevin did the goat head on the Gower head on the bottom, the right side lower, with the bells on the horn, and then Nick did the other two, this main one and then one down there that has like a metal nose ring or whatever.
Right.
Um,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, no, it's really cool. Like, like especially like the paint apps on each one. It's like you're like, oh, that's my favorite. And you're like, oh, that's my favorite. No, that's my favorite. Um, it's ironic because like Nikki hates Goatman. Like she's like, I don't. She's like, I have no love for Goatman. I was like, of all the people not to like Goatman, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, but like me and Stellar, like Diablo people, so like we love Goatman. Like that's like hardcore our jam.
She's like, no,
So
I got my reptiles. Like, you guys can keep
exactly.
your marsupials or whatever they. I don't know,
Yeah.
marsupial. I don't know, your
But
bovine
she's like,
creatures.
I get to paint one. Like I was like, but you don't like him. Why are you asking to paint one? I don't understand. You know, that's just me
Right.
teasing her. But yes, so love this guy. Nick did a
I
great
love the
job.
weapon. The weapon I'm noticing is like it's in two parts and kind of
Yep.
like chained together.
Fan
That
melt.
thing
Yep.
looks deadly.
That was a Dave Proctor design special there. Rubus had the design like the club and the armor design and everything, and then we came up with the idea to like attach chains to the belts. But then Dave was like, "Man, I just thought this would be like instead of having like a long one, I thought it'd be fun if it was like a like a nunchuck kind of feel." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty badass. I like it."
I mean, I don't know if that's practical in battle, but I still don't want to see it coming at me. That's still like
Well, I
incredible.
feel
I
like
mean,
they're
so,
go men, so they don't really have to be practical. I
right.
feel like. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
yeah.
kind of like their armor. Like their whole armor looks like it's like not as strong, but it's still deadly. You know what I'm saying? Like it just has like
Right.
a softer feel to it. I feel like so.
Oh man. Yeah, this is the one that if I could have swiped and come home with, it would have been this one. Uh, but not to be outdone by horns on the head, but then we have this guy, uh, and then just looking like not only because like this could be a helmet that a human is wearing clearly, but then you go down below and you look at that head just like sitting on the ground, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, is that what this guy looks like underneath? Like, that's some scary mess.
So I first the axe. The axe is like an old MAFC axe that we had. Actually goes with the goat man. The guys are just they randomly like put stuff
Sure.
together on this in display. But that's a Rubus design. I think Gordon sculpted that axe. Um, Ironically, this is the rest of it is my design. This is one of the
Okay.
few like um it's my design. Kevin definitely sculpted it, and Kevin always adds something to every one of his sculpts, so it's why he's so phenomenal. The head at the bottom is actually that was the original alternate head that was supposed to come with Jaeger.
Whoa.
Yes, a
What?
long time ago. That was like we were trying to come up with like alternate, like drastically different looking characters based on like with one figure, right? And so that head's been around too for a long time. And Dave suggested us using that head for this figure. I was like, man, it does look good. And but it wasn't until I saw it painted with the red on it like that I was like, yeah, this rocks. Um, and I think that if you think of that head, that says like just like skull bones and like a metal mask in front of it, like the
Hmm.
one on the bottom. I love the backstory that Matt and Gordon are working on for this guy. It's really cool. I think that this figure is not lore tied to the Drivarthi, but the heads are going to work really well with the
Hmm.
Drivarthi and vice versa. So
Yeah, I'm looking at those boots. Are those boots? Those boots are Jaeger's boots, right?
no, they're not.
No?
They are
I'm
not.
trying to think. I'm trying to think who has the steel toe boots like that I've seen before.
The boots. Sorry, you're right. The feet. The feet are the same as Jaeger. The
Okay.
shins are new shins. The forearms are new forearms. The belt is new. The chest armor is new. Deltoid and trap armor is new. Club is new. Shield's new. Both heads are new. But he's got Jaeger pants too. He's got
Yeah.
Jaeger pants, Jaeger feet.
One of the things that I love about this is that, you know, because I'm looking at that head on the bottom and I'm looking at the boot, which it drew me to that to the boot, is that this looks like a character that could have stepped out of like medieval, your fantasy world, the Savage Crucible, but it also looks like if this was a guy that drove like an 18 wheeler in Mad Max, I could see that as well. Like it could be like post apocalyptic, futuristic, stepping outside of the fantasy, because that just looks so badass, like with the mask and everything. Yeah, this is really cool. Something else. All right, so these are all like come with a lot of stuff. They're like really ornate. But then you guys hit us with this. And as somebody who is a customizer and a painter and loves to pop and swap, and it is like one of my favorite things to do. It's Friday night. SmackDown's on tonight. I will have a bin of figures on my couch with me, and I'm just going to be popping and swapping something while I'm watching wrestling. So, what can you tell us about these? Because I've got my ideas of what this is, but is anything that you can tell us about these three guys?
Yeah, these are mold injected, painted factory samples. We're calling them primals. They're in the same sort of price category, or we feel like they're going to be close to what Savages were. We hope. Um, the There's a total of 4 new heads between all 3 figures. There's a new sword and 2 new swords. The waist piece is new, and then the shins and the forearms have slip-ons. So those are actually slip-ons. So they do come with bare calf. That's just a slip-on that goes over the calf. So if you want just completely bare skin guys, you can have bare skin guys, or you can just go that, whatever. Yeah, we were always listening. We always had the intent to do this. But you get a lot of extra pieces with our figures that you can do stuff with, like especially when you're doing kit bashes. So people want those kind of bases. The only one that was kind of iffy, and I'll be honest, I didn't ask for the blue guy. That was something that the guys put together over in China, are like, hey, we think this is really cool. So like the whole thing about like Keldor and the blue and all that, like, yeah, that happened, but like that sculpt was never meant to be blue. It's supposed to be Caucasian. Like that was like, yeah, like that was just like, wow, that does really like pop like that, right?
Well, outside of Keldor, what really hit me was the fact that, to me, like, and this might have been a complete like on purpose decision by you guys, was by making it blue, putting the ball head on was like, oh, this is Naraka before like he gets the jewel shoved into his eye, I really like that.
Well, we looked at it and so thinking of the blue, we were like, oh, it could be Incan, it could be Frostman, it could be undead. Like there's just so many different like things that you can do with that body that we felt like we should make this. So yeah, you'll see these. These will actually go up for pre-order relatively soon, and the turnaround for them will be this year. So
that's awesome. So might we be seeing some new like character packs, weapons packs, maybe head packs or something to go along with these in the future?
Definitely something that is being what's the word? Considered. Champions. Probably champions a better word. Champions. Yes, champions. Yes.
Yeah, and I like that.
And I've talked about this. Like for 27, our goal is to start introducing a third unique blind bag item with figures that's a unique armor set. Like that's like a blind bag armor that like it won't be one set, but it'll be like multiple sets, and you're trying to chase like to create this armor set. So
that's brilliant. Like I love that, because like so many of my friends, like we're like trading weapons, all the time. I'm like, we're always sending pictures back saying, oh, I got this, I got that. Well, I need this one. What do you need? And so the fact that now we could be doing that with armor, and the way like then starting to try to figure out how you mix and match like upper armor and then lower shoulder armor and then like a belt. Oh man, that's just the possibilities there. That's really cool.
Fun. These have the I think, pretty sure if I remember correctly, these have the some of the studs pop out.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, I could be wrong on that, but I get there's so many waist pieces that look alike at this point. Like to me, like you have to make sure which one's which. I would say yes. Like we want to do armor sets. There's like packs and things like that, but I know people wanted this. We've been looking for the right place to put it out. We have like we've only had, I think, the Warhorse up for pre-order this year. Is the only item we've had up for pre-order. Have we had anything else up for pre-order this year? I don't think so. I don't think people have actually paid attention to that at all.
Wow. No, because I was thinking no, but I guess you're right. Like Elric was last year, right? Elric went
Yeah,
up for
Elric was like
pre-order.
a year ago, February.
Right. Okay. All right. Death Dealer was Death
Was
Dealer
like a
last
year
year.
ago, March, April.
Wow. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay.
So then we put up Wave 4 last October-ish, September-ish, somewhere around there.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, because yeah, I mean, I'm glad you guys are going back to this. You know, if people don't remember, you guys did do this in Wave One. You did have, you know, the base Lemurians, the base Savages, whatever they were called. I forgot what they were called. But
There was also like this whole body worry about body type fatigue that we didn't want
sure.
to create. And so, and this goes back to that same philosophy. Like, I think you can add at least 3 parts to a figure before you release it. Like, that's
Hmm.
relatively simple. That doesn't take a lot of capital. It's all it takes is planning to do that. So,
Right. And a little bit of imagination. I mean, you take like a forearm part from a Lemurian could also go on, say, like a Piranoid, or you know, it could go on your Snake Man. You
yeah,
know, it's like the texture is the same. So, you know, it's like it's just how you paint it and what head goes along with it. Sometimes a simple head can change the entire, I don't know, race of a character, species, whatever. Yeah, this looks great. And then the last thing we'll touch on, man, see, it's the crazy thing is that these might be the simplest thing on the table, but they're the thing that excites me the most because I get excited about the possibility of what could come along. Because I like the pop and swap aspect of toys now. And then we had this, which a lot of people were just, you know, my friends were like losing their minds over because I think a lot of people are like, man, I wish we just had like a line of just animals, like because GI Joe, like Hasbro seems to like try to work like these really nicely designed animals into their waves, you know, in different ways. But man, like getting some dogs, I'm always going to push for an English bulldog. I mean, I know that they're lovable, they're not really deadly, but come on, they used to drag bulls around.
they did. I'll say this: we went and secured the best animal sculptor on the planet. So, um, she does an amazing job. She did an amazing job on that polar bear. She did an amazing job on that Great Dane. She did an amazing job on a golden eagle. There's a lot of things that she's worked on that people other toy lines that people have really enjoyed. So she does an amazing job, and we're very thankful to have her on board now. She sculpted the Great Dane. Kevin did the armor sculpt, and Alex did the paint apps. They also did those wonderful chewed on body parts that you see at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of the screen, and like
Yep.
the little chicken leg and like the big one. Because I was like, man, we need an open mouth one that like can like hold something in its mouth, you know, like
Sure.
you know. And
The one in the middle, like to the right down here on the left photo,
yeah,
I refer to that as like a meat popsicle because it looks like a popsicle that you could just pull apart, like right in
yeah,
the
oh
middle.
yeah. And they do like I think on Nikki's, she was on like podcast last night. So when someone, I don't know if she prompted them or what, but they figured out that there's peg holes in the front. Like you can put different hands in that. So like,
Oh, that's nice.
yes,
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah,
so
these are incredible. Now I know you well enough to know you're not going to say too much on this, but are is there a chance that we may be seeing these by themselves, or are these going to be companions to other figures, or should we just wait and see what happens?
I think that they'll, given the complexity of the articulation and the size of this particular one, I think it'll be its own SKU. I think it's going to come with a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
2 heads, armor, all these like different like null pieces, the all that stuff. Like I think that elevates it a little bit higher in price point. I mean, because I actually consider doing blind boxes for Great Danes in colors, right? But
Oh, sure,
yeah,
easily,
but
yeah.
the price point was kind of prohibitive. Like you got to like I feel like there's a point you get too high, it doesn't become fun or whatever. So
Oh, Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I love Super Seven. Do not get me wrong. I love them. I've interviewed Brian before. He's a good dude. I love this product, but I gotta tell you, like, I get really excited about Sesame Street figures, but and his blind, he's done some really cool blind bags for them before, and they are cheaper than a reaction, but there is a price point that you get to where you're like, I don't care. Like, I just
right. Yeah.
can't, when it gets to be like $20 for a blind bag, I'm like, I can't. I don't think I can do like that's just too much money to risk getting something I already have. Yeah, you're
I
right. So
agree
there's
wholeheartedly. Yes, I'm actually not happy with the price point that we sell the Komodos at. Like, I wanted it lower, and like, it wasn't until we made them that and we're selling them that it dawned on me what I needed to do. And like, I already know, like, if I could do it over again, I like, there's so many different things I would change about it. We would have got the price lower if we did what I came to the conclusion we should have done. It would have added some more variety to it as well, and it would have done so much better, from my perspective on what I was trying to achieve. So I'm still very happy with Komodos. I think most people are. I just like those are. That's just me. I'm always constantly critiquing like what can we do
sure.
better.
No, I mean I love them, and one thing that I don't think a lot of people know is that like if you stand them like tip to tail, I mean they stand almost the same size as a figure. They're a lot bigger than people think. They're not just a toss in
Yeah.
like creature.
So
They're really nice. I haven't personally gotten a chance to get any blind bags or blind boxes yet. I still have the two that came on my dungeon sets, but it'll happen. It's
yeah,
coming. I'll get some at
they'll
some
be in
point.
stock sale. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
These are at 104%, so they are slightly larger. These are 3D prints, so these are check models rather, not 3D prints, but so they're
Okay.
slightly bigger than they're supposed to be. The Great Dane. But I mean, this paint scheme is based off of one of my dogs named Carter, who passed away. Carter weighed like 185. Like, and like,
Yeah.
and showing like I didn't send them to you, but like there's like pictures with like my hand on his head, and like his head is like,
Yes. I was gonna
you know,
say, like when you said they're like 104%, I'm like, I'm not sure you can properly be too big for a Great Dane. My
no,
wife
I
works
mean,
in vet medicine and she sees them all the time and they're huge, you
a
know.
well-bred Great Dane is a male, is massive. It is beautiful,
Yeah.
but it is like how big their head is scary. It really is.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah. My wife's taller than me. She's like 6'1", 6'1.5", and she's had a Great Dane like stand up and put its paws on her shoulder and be taller than her.
yes.
She's like, yeah, they get to be pretty tall. Okay, so well, that's all the pictures that I wanted to talk about from Joe Fest, and maybe kind of like going back to this a little bit. You guys have, is it 3 more shows that you're attending between now and the end of the year? Is it these three, like
So
Wonderfest,
there's
Titans Toy?
Kevin will be at Toy Apocalypse in Germany in August. All the shows are on the website, by the way. No ticker. So Kevin Delaz will be at Toy Apocalypse in Germany in August. Um, I will be attending, and we will have a table at Wonderfest in Shanghai at the end of September. The following weekend is Titans Toy Expo in Nashville, and then
Which
we're
I hope to
finishing.
attend this year. I hope to attend. I have a really good
I
friend
hope
that
you
lives
do.
there.
You,
I
you
need to.
bro, you need to be there. I'm thing like when the new schedule updates, like I mean, we can go ahead and say it now. Like, 'cause I'm pretty sure Nikki already said this last night too. Like, there's gonna be 4 question marks on Titans.
4. Wow.
So
Okay, so because I knew you guys were going to have a table drop, and I knew you were going to have like a exclusive, but now
yep,
we're talking 4
yep.
question marks. Okay,
Well, put it this way: whatever is that gonna be at Winterfest is coming to Titans. So that's 1. So then you got
okay,
the exclusive. That's 2. You have the stated drop for Titans. That's
Mhm.
3, and then we have a 4th. We haven't.
Wow. Okay. So when my wife and I talk about budget and we talk about like what we're doing throughout the year, it is on our calendar that I'm coming. That I plan on flying. My friend Jason lives in Nashville, so I'm going to be staying with Jason and in his new place. And yeah, I want to come. I want to be there. I wanted to come your first year. I couldn't make it happen. It was too quick for me. But yeah, this year. Okay, so Wonderfest is in China. It's going to have it'll have a drop, or it's going to have like not like a first.
It will have a drop, but it won't be at our table. It'll be over at our Chinese distributor, K5 Toys, Jason Gao. We'll have
Okay.
that drop figure.
And then that same figure will be at Titans.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So everybody, don't freak out. You don't have to go to China. You do not have to go to Shanghai.
That's the funny thing. Like, people don't realize, like, the tickets to Shanghai and Wonderfest are on a lottery system. So,
Ooh.
and
Okay.
like, there's like not like a scalping thing. Like, you
Okay.
don't.
So it's big. Like, it's San Diego Comic-Con.
It is San Diego Comic-Con, but only toys. It is the most impressive toy show I've ever been to in my life. Like, I don't know how, like, so like you go to Joe Fest and there's like 10 indie toy companies. All right. You're like, wow, this is amazing. Or Zolo is like, this is amazing. You go to Shanghai Wonderfest, fucking 80 to 100. Smell tiny.
Wow.
And then you've got like Bandai, freaking Joy Toy, Snell, like you got all the other, like bigger players. And it's like hall after hall after hall of just nothing but vendors, manufacturers of action figures, not people selling, third-party sellers. It's just all of manufacturers.
Wow.
Like, it is.
That sounds both expensive and anxiety inducing, because like I would be worried about how much I was spending, but then also worrying about how in the world am I getting any of this.
I blew thousands. Like, I
had that.
So like the Joy Toy, like, it was crazy. Like, I have a whole room of Joy Toy, like, because they had all their stuff on. Basically, they were like clearancing them out, kind of. So like, because I was like from their stock, and so they didn't want anything to come back. So like, all the big massive ones, like, dude, they were there and they were like dirt cheap. Like, you're like, oh, that's like $500 back in the home. And like, if I buy it here, it's $80. Like, okay, like we were just making trips. So like, what's great is, and I think they do this at San Diego and at like one or two other shows, like at the front of every hall is their version of FedEx, and you just walk up there, hand them your stuff, they put it in a box while you're paying for it, and they ship it out for you.
Nice.
And so for me, the way, I mean, this is cheating, but like, I didn't have to ship it back to the States. I had it shipped to my factory, and they put it on the next Connex box that got shipped to me.
There you go. There you go. So you had to wait a little while, but
I did.
But you got it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. But because like I couldn't. There's no way to get all that stuff back. But like, it's just like, it's crazy. If you ever get to go, like, it's an amazing. Like, Derek,
now I see why you don't
there last year. Like, it was funny.
Oh wow.
But it's like 100,000 plus people, but there's like literally like 6 Americans total in the entire place.
Wow.
Okay, it's crazy. And like this year we're going, it's supposed to be like me, Chris Chaotic from Creative Beasts, I think Ben and maybe Mark from Skeletron are going, and then I think maybe John from Marauders is considering it or something. Chris is like a freaking giant, right? He's a huge dude.
Imagine what
he wears that chain, and like, you already get enough stare. Like, I get enough stares. Like, of people like, I'm gonna be walking around my own giant, basically. So like, yeah. And I told him, it's like, dude, they're gonna touch you. He's like, no, they're not. I was like, dude, they're gonna come up and touch you. Like seriously, like that's gonna happen. Like, just prepare yourself.
No way. Yes. All right, so that's Wonderfest. Then the very next weekend is Titans Toy Expo. Like you said, this is the newest card that I have. I like the art on there. And you guys have some categories. You have some contests, some cash prizes, and you said 4 question marks there. That's awesome. Yep. And then you guys have Toy Unity.
Yes.
Coming up. Same weekend as Legion's Con, right down the road. It's right out pretty close. And then what's going on there? I see that you and Valiverse are going to be. What's happening there? You guys going to have a first available?
We'll have an exclusive for that show and a drop figure for that show.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And those are not in the ones that are going to be at Titans Toy. So
they're completely different than any of the question marks at Titans. It's not like it's not like the exclusive for Unity is a figure based off a variant of some figure from Titans.
Okay.
Separate.
Okay. So outside of pre-orders or things coming in that we have already had a chance to put our money on, we're looking at least 6 more figures from you by the end of the year.
Yes, and so for everybody that's new collecting Savage Crucible, the last part of the year is brutal.
Yes.
Absolutely brutal for everybody that's been with us, at least through wave 3 and wave 4. You're in much better shape,
Yeah.
but it's not lost on us, and so that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen a lot of pre-orders from us this part of the year, because we knew the back end of the year is so stacked. That, and also we're still moving towards that model of having more drops. It doesn't mean we're getting rid of pre-orders. I'm sure we'll trash talk pre-orders at some point in our marketing scheme. That's mostly because the CFO handles that, and that's me giving Holly shit. And so, but that's just like, we're like, for certain things that are our own IP, I feel comfortable enough having those as drop figures. Not every single one, but some. And then a lot of the licensed IP that we'll be doing, those will be a pre-order, giving people a chance, multiple chances, not like dropping it on them out of nowhere. But like, once again, like, we're not limiting stock. Like, we're not trying to intentionally limit how much gets produced. We're literally going into it, doing our best using analytics to match what demand is in a reasonable time frame. So there's no reason to panic, in my opinion. Unless you're looking for Death Dealer, then you should be panicking. But I'm sorry, we're like 14, 15 months out from the pre-order for that. So like,
again, I mean, you guys are leaving these pre-orders up for 30 days, 35 days, 40 days, whatever it is. Get the pre-order. And and here's the thing, if your excuse, well, is I don't have any in their figures, so I don't want to plop my money down now. Okay, you guys do have like a deposit system. You can pay a small deposit up front, like $5-10. You don't have to pay the full thing right up front. And now now you are aware. This is the people who made Elric. This is the people that made Death Dealer. That's like, so next year when the pre-orders hit, there's no excuses, guys.
So while we're talking about this, like, how did you feel the Dravarthi moved, by the way? Like the joints, what's your honest?
Oh my God. Okay, so he feels like he was a little stiff out of the package, but what I liked about him is that I said in my review, I think I'm probably gonna have to go and like give him a heat bath to get him going, but I never did, and he moves really well. Like, he kind of moves really smoothly. He feels like the plastic feels. I don't want this to sound bad. I don't want it to sound like you guys have ever used low quality plastic, but each figure feels like it's using a better quality plastic than the plastic you guys had used like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. He just feels so good. And like, I don't know, like, I'm really impressed with this guy. And maybe it's also that the paint is different, but like, one of the things that I noticed is that you guys have like, there's paint on the joints that I'm like, that can't be easy to pull off, because that's always going to crack and flake off, but it's not doing that. And so things like that
holds paint better. POK holds paint better than POM. Not perfect. Just better.
Right.
Like, there's different degrees of better. Let's put it this way: paint will not stick to POM. A little bit will stick to POK. Like, that's that's right. Probably the best way to describe it. But I would say that.
But also, that doesn't bother me either. I mean, I review action figures, and sometimes I'm opening them on camera for the first time, and I'm used to like paint flaking off, and like I have to clean. I have a little lint roller, and I clean my little space after review. It happens, but not with that guy. He's incredible. And I already told you about how the hand prints. I immediately was like, dude, how did you guys pull that off? Yeah. They look wet. So they're wet and slick looking versus like the matte finish of the paint that's already dried on his legs. Like,
yep. It looks like actual someone stuck, because you have that like 3-dimensional depth to it. Like, it's gorgeous. The pictures didn't do it justice. You need like high res pictures to really understand, like, or see it in person to really understand like how great it looks.
Yes.
But on the Dravarthi, the joint specifically, like, we enhance those, the way that we put the figure together from even what we did with Elric, to make it even, like, the joints try to become even smoother. We don't want them perfectly smooth, because that creates a problem in a year. Like, your figure won't stand up. But like this next iteration beyond just Elric, is implemented within the Dravarthi figure. So I'm very happy with what I've seen so far, in feedback, and I I'm very happy with where we got here. Well, by getting to this certain point, it's taken us a little bit to get to this point, but I'm very happy about it.
One of the things that I am noticing too that has gotten better is that your joints, where you connect like a forearm to the elbow joint, has gotten like easier to like pop off. The first wave, I ended up like with I think all of my Lemurians. I think I went in and like dremeled off like a part of the mushroom a little bit, so that the popping and swapping was a little easier to do, considering you were popping out like the lower legs and the forearms a lot. I love the idea of you guys going to the slide-ons, like the little sled. That's interesting. I like that a lot.
I won't do it for every forearm
Right.
shin, but like some, yeah. And it's like that was like a lesson learned with like the character packs. Like we never thought about like, well, these forearms and shins in here have never been actually anything plugged into them, so it's a pain in the ass to do it the first, because they at the factory they're doing it mechanically, the press,
Right.
Like they don't have to like make their thumbs purple.
And like I said, I enjoy doing it so much that for me, I was like, I could either always heat up a bowl of hot water, soak the part, and pop and pull, or I can just take a Dremel and just Dremel off a little bit of the mushroom once and never have to worry about it. So mine are a lot easier. My Lemurians, I like everything kind of like pops, but that's something that I did to mine personally. But it has gotten easier. What I will do is over the weekend, I will strip the Dravarthi down to his bare essentials, get all the stuff off, and then literally, sit and like really enjoy the articulation. I have not done that. I have not pulled him all the way apart. He just looks so freaking cool, all barbarianed up. I need more. I need another one because I can't. I love this head and this colorway so much that I was like, I'm just gonna have him holding the helmet, because like you can't not use that. That's just
a great
too wild.
I loved it. And I know a lot of people, some people didn't care for it or whatever. They felt like it felt like the Crow. It felt like, what was it, Insane Clown Posse or something. I've never really watched them. And then some people were like, it's like Sting and da da da. And I'm like, yeah, that's because they're all copying freaking Tribal.
Yeah, well, hey, let me throw one in there. What I've been telling my friends is like, to me, it feels like the War Boys from Mad Max.
Mad Max, yeah,
before they start spraying their mouth with that silver. And
I mean, it's war paint. That's the whole thing. They've put it on war. Like you're describing people that are putting on war paint. Like that's what it is.
Which is another, they also used to carve weird things into their helmets to make their enemies afraid of them. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, it's like, but I mean, that, I don't think that is like you guys copying anything. I think it's like, that's been around forever. Like war paint. It's like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, yeah.
Someone posted a picture of Nick, and he was for a Halloween costume, and he had on black and white skull face paint, and it was very close to what we used. Not exact, but it was like very close. And I was like, damn, I wish I would have known about that before. We could have used that picture. Like I had seen it before, but it didn't make the connection at all.
I wish I could somehow show you. This is the trinket that I got. It is bird skull on the ring. There you go. That'll work. And then my weapon I pulled was the
nice. Yeah, both of those.
And I have the frost axe. So now I've got the sister axes. So I'm extremely happy and satisfied with that. Man, I had another question just popped in my head, but I can't think of it now. So when I remember, I'll just text you and ask you off camera. But Rob, thank you so very much. I've kept you a lot longer than I expected to. I'm so sorry about that. I know it's Friday afternoon and people want to leave, but hopefully you get a few days off for the 4th and maybe you can relax and take some time off. But thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Mark, thank you, dude. You're the best. I always enjoy talking to you. I love your pragmatism. I just, great conversation every time I ever speak to you. So,
well, you know what, that brings me to something that I did want to bring up, and I know you're not gonna want to hear this because you don't like people talking good about you. I know, but listen, this is something that I tell my friends personally, and I want to, this is going out to, my audience, which, albeit small, it is what it is. One of the things that I appreciate, not just about you, Rob, my friend, but about you as Rob, head of Savage Crucible, head of Harvinger Studios, is that I do have the privilege of texting you and talking to you anytime you guys have had a show or a reveal or a drop or whatever. And one of the first things that you always ask me is, you're like, how do you think that went? It's like, how do you think we did? What do you think of the figure? Like, how do you think of the way we rolled it out? That the way that we tried this or we did this or whatever. You always ask me, how do I think you did? And I'm like a nobody, and I really appreciate that about you, because it shows that, you're not just some guy like sitting up and making decisions and it's like, oh, we're going to make money and we don't care, like, like whatever people think. Like, I appreciate, because I know that about you. That's something about you personally that I know, is that you're always wanting to know, like, how did we do? Did we screw something up? What worked? What didn't work? And I think that shows in your overall larger philosophy for a toy company, and it shows in your product, because it's just, dude, I think it's like one of the most talked about toy lines right now, and it's because you guys are you're freaking killing it. And what else can I say? But no, I appreciate that about you, man. So thank you.
More praise than I deserve, but thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for this. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I hope it's been educational. I always love, like, I could sit here and listen to you tell me about like changing the durometer of plastic, or how, like, I could listen to that stuff all day because I nerd out over production stuff. But yeah, maybe that's a little too deep for the fans, but I really appreciate I don't know when this is going to go up. I'm going to try to get it up at least by Monday. It's turned out to be a little bit longer than I expected.
Hey, I was looking forward to seeing you and your fans at Titans.
Yes, I will do my best to be there. And I will also see you at Toy Unity. I'll be making the, I'll be heading over as soon as
the long trek across the street. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is actually, it turns out it's a lot longer than you think, because you can't turn left in New Jersey.
Right. Yeah. You have to, like, if you're taking the shuttle, like, you have to go like this and it goes back around. But I've never been to that location, so I don't know if that street's really, you should be crossing it by foot. I don't know.
It's like a 4-way intersection.
Okay.
And there's like a big grocery store called Wegmans across the street that everybody.
Yes, I know.
Okay. And so there's like a gas station, and then like the Marriott, I forgot what it's called, the Marriott that it's held at. And yeah, you can't just, like, everybody says, oh, there's a place to eat right across the street. That doesn't mean you can walk it. Like, you have to drive, but then you have to turn right and go down that way, and then make a U-turn. And New Jersey cares more about you turning left than they do you making a U-turn. They don't care.
Driving in New Jersey is an adventure. That's all there is to it. Like,
and you can't pump your own gas. That's another thing. If you
that's another thing. Yes.
They will.
Even Oregon got rid of that. Like, Oregon got rid of that. So I don't know what they're doing in New Jersey about, like, yeah.
It's Jersey, baby. That's why.
You can go a couple miles north and you're in New York and pump your own gas.
Yeah, exactly. Go pump your own gas over there. But over here, we're doing it for you so you don't screw it up. So yes, hopefully I will see you twice more this year. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you at shows and everything. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. So we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.